hope that you are doing great. Today we are going to go through the chapter 7, in which basically we are going to deploy your app. And to deploy your app, basically the first thing that we have to do is to create a GitHub account. Then we have to create an Amazon Web Service account, and we have to connect these two things. Okay? Then let's move on. The first thing that we are going to do is to create a GitHub account. You have already done that because it's super easy. And once that you create your GitHub account, what we are going to do is to create a GitHub repository. Basically, I go here and I'm going to create a new repository. I'm going to name this repository, it's going to be GitHub 23. This is going to be a public repository. I'm going to add a readme file. I'm going to create a license that is going to be an MIT license, that is kind of a standard license, and I'm going to create a repository. Okay, the first thing that we are going to do is to edit this readme file. This readme file is going to get a track of all your changes, and it's also going to provide useful information for the people that have access to your GitHub account, and this is something very useful, and you have to learn how to edit it. It's very easy, and we will use this all the time during the course, okay? But I would like just to place here some examples. For example, I would like to add a comment that is for Sunday, 5th February 2023. And basically here we are going to do we create a repository, and we are going to upload some files, and finally we are going to do some branching. Okay, if I go down and I commit these changes, this immediately appear here. Okay, this is the first thing that we are going to do. The second thing that we are going to do is that basically now we have our repository in internet, and basically what we have to do now is to go to our local computer and create some files. Okay, this is basically what we are going to do. I have already created a folder in chapter 7 that is called GitHub 2023, and I go now to my Visual Studio. I open this folder, and here I'm going to create a new file that is going to be GitHub 2023 HTML. This is a basic HTML file. I create it here, exclamation mark, enter, and I create the boilerplate for this project. And here basically I erase this. For the title I'm going to place GitHub. In the body I'm going to create GitHub H1 GitHub, and I save it. I open it with live server, and I check, okay, this is working. Okay, fine. When does I check that my project is working correctly in my local machine? I tell you now I want to move this project to GitHub. Basically what I have to do is okay, I can do this in a different way. I go here to GitHub, and I go to the repository, and I click add file, upload files. Okay, now what I have to do is I go here to my local computer, and I find this folder, and I click and I move this file here, and I commit the changes. Okay, now this is my file. That's all. Imagine that now I continue working in my project in my local computer, and for example here I go here and I introduce a paragraph. Add a new paragraph. Once that I do this, I save it and I check that everything is working fine. Then I go open with live server. Okay, this is working. Now I have this paragraph and tell it, okay, this is working fine. Then I go like to place this information in my GitHub repository. I copy this information, I go here and I go to my repository and I click here to edit this file. Okay, I edit, I erase this information and I paste my new code. I go down and I commit the changes. Now if I go to the history in this button, this is very useful because now I can check the changes that I have introduced. Basically in white is the things that I didn't change, and in green is the new things that I have added. For example, in this case I add a new paragraph, okay? And in green and red is what I erase, and in green is what I add, okay? This is the first thing that we are going to check, and this is something very useful because help us to have a track of the changes that we have introduced. Okay, if I go now to my GitHub account, what I would like to show you next is how to introduce branches in our GitHub. And this is something very useful because in your project there are some students that maybe can work in a particular part of the project. For example, in the home page and in the home routes, another group of students can focus in the app calculator routes and the app calculator HTML files. And then to do that in an efficient way, you can create branches. And this is precisely what we are going to do now. I go here to branch, and I go to create a new branch. I go here, new branch, and I'm going to name this branch group home. This is basically a group of students that is going to focus in the home routes and in the home HTML, for example. I create this branch, and now if I go to GitHub, here I have two branches, and the main branch, I can select here the branch in which I'm going to be. I would like to be in group in this branch. Now I am in this branch, and what I would like to do now, imagine that I work in this group, and then what I do here is go to Home, and you can download this file. And then I go here, I extract this file, and what I'm going to do next, if I want to move this entire folder into my computer where I have this is the old branch, and what I'm going to do now here is to add this new branch that I create. Okay, why I do this? What I'm going to do, for example, imagine that now I want to work during 2 or 3 days with another students in this part of the project. Then what I would like to do is I go to my Visual Studio, I go File, I open this folder that I have downloaded, that is GitHub 23 Group Home. I open it, and here, for example, I would like to introduce some changes. I go to this folder and I tell, okay, I want to introduce a button here, for example, and I'm going to introduce a link. I save it and I verify that this works fine. I go as usual to open with Live Server. I go here and okay, this is working. And then I talk with the rest of the people and tell, okay, we have worked on this and now this is working. Basically what you want to do is, okay, we want to merge these two branches because now we only want to have one branch. Once that we check that everything is working, we want to integrate all these changes in the old version of the project. And basically what we have to do is I go to Visual Studio, I copy this file or many files if you want. We are going to do this obviously with folders and all these things in our project. It's going to be much larger than this. But now what I go here, I go to GitHub. Remember that we are in this branch. I go to GitHub 23. Tell, okay, now I'm going to edit this, and I go like to introduce the changes that I verify that they are working fine. I paste this information here, I commit the changes, and now basically I can go to the history and verify that now basically what we have done is to introduce this button. That's all. And now what we want to do is to merge these changes. Here is appearing this green yellow box that is telling me that if I want to pull this request, I want to do it. I go here and I tell okay, the button works very fine, and then you create a pull request. Once that you have done this, you want to merge the pull request. You click here, you confirm the merge, and now once that you merge this, is basically now you merge these new changes in this branch with the old project, and basically what you want to do later is to delete this branch, because you don't want to have, once that you finish a project, you want to delete that branch because it's useless to have that many branches and it's only confounding. Then basically you delete this branch, and okay, now I go again to GitHub 23, and here now we only have one branch, and it's the main branch. And now it's very nice because basically if we check here, if we go to this file, it's going to be basically all the changes that we have introduced. I can go to history, I can check here, and it's appearing the last changes that we have introduced. And basically what we have done is basically to work independently in one part of the project, and after a while what we have done is to merge these two projects, and that is super useful and super efficient way of working. This is one of the reasons because GitHub is so powerful, because helps the collaborative way of working, okay, and you are going to use this all the time during the project. Another thing that we can do is to erase some commitments. Imagine that you make a commit and you don't like it, and then you want to erase it. The way to do that is to, I don't know how to do this from here, and what I check in internet is that you can do that basically by using GitHub Desktop. If you go here, GitHub Desktop is basically what we have done in the GitHub webpage. You can do the same things and more by using this program. We are going to use this during the lectures, and basically the thing that you can do in addition is to kind of erase some commitments that you made. But we are going to do this during the course, then I'm not going to spend more time in the video showing that, okay? Basically what we have done in this video is to create a GitHub repository, to create a folder in our computer, and now we have learned how to connect these two things. We also have learned how to create branches and how to merge branches. And finally what I showed you is that we can use GitHub Desktop to erase commitments. All the things that I have shown to you is something that you can also do in the command line by using the git command. And sometimes, okay, many times I use this command to connect directly the kind of the local folder in my computer with GitHub. And if you use Heroku, it's also very useful because you can connect the local computer with the GitHub with the server automatically, and in that cases the git command is very, very useful. I'm not going to teach you how to do that. We are going to use the graphical user interface because the objective of this course is that you gain confidence in the programming of your application. In the future, I'm going to create some videos to teach the students how to use the git command to connect the computer with the GitHub account, and also I'm going to develop some videos to program in Linux the server. But this is not the objective of this course, and then they want to introduce more structure. But in the web page you have a lot of information to start to use Git, the git command in the future, in case that you are interested on that. I'm pretty sure that in the future you will learn that, because it's a very useful and a very efficient way of communication between the computer and the GitHub account. Okay, I hope that you have enjoyed the video. I hope that you have learned, and see you in the next video.